Breaking. Trump threatens 48 hours till hell rains down on Iran. In a dramatic escalation of global tensions, the world is now on edge as a 48-hour ultimatum shakes the very foundation of international stability. What began as a warning has rapidly evolved into a high-stakes geopolitical confrontation, drawing in military powers, rattling energy markets, and triggering urgent diplomatic efforts across continents. From rising military deployments to fears of economic disruption, every second now carries the weight of uncertainty as global leaders brace for what could become a defining moment in modern history. Tonight, we take you straight into the center of this unfolding crisis, where power, pressure, and peril collide in real time. Donald Trump's 48-hour doomsday ultimatum sends shockwaves through Iran crisis. In a dramatic escalation of already volatile geopolitical tensions, Donald Trump has issued a stark and uncompromising 48-hour ultimatum to Iran, warning of devastating consequences if immediate demands are not met. The statement, delivered with unmistakable intensity, signals one of the most dangerous moments in recent Middle Eastern history, as diplomatic channels strain under the weight of military threats and global uncertainty. The ultimatum reportedly centers on strategic compliance, with Washington demanding swift action or facing what Trump described as overwhelming force. The language used has sent alarm bells ringing across world capitals, as officials and analysts interpret the warning as a potential prelude to direct military confrontation. The already fragile relationship between the United States and Iran has deteriorated rapidly, with both sides signaling readiness for escalation. Military assets have reportedly been repositioned, and regional allies are bracing for the possibility of sudden conflict erupting within hours rather than days. Tehran, however, has responded with defiance, rejecting what it views as coercive diplomacy and reaffirming its sovereignty. Iranian leadership has warned that any aggressive action would be met with a firm and immediate response, raising fears of a rapid chain reaction across the region. The situation is further complicated by the presence of multiple international actors, each with vested interests and limited tolerance for instability. Behind the scenes, urgent diplomatic efforts are underway to prevent the crisis from spiraling out of control. Global powers are engaging in back-channel communications, attempting to de-escalate tensions before the deadline expires. Yet the ticking clock and uncompromising rhetoric have created an atmosphere of extreme urgency, where even a minor miscalculation could ignite a broader conflict. Underscore 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 underscore. Concern across global energy markets as fears mount over a potential disruption to one of the world's most critical oil transit routes. This narrow corridor, connecting the Persian Gulf to international waters, serves as a lifeline for global oil supply, with nearly 1/5 of the world's total consumption passing through its waters each day. As tensions rise between the United States and Iran, shipping activity in the region has reportedly slowed, with several commercial vessels altering routes or delaying transit amid security concerns. Insurance costs for tankers have surged, and global markets are reacting sharply to the uncertainty, with energy prices showing signs of volatility. Strategically, control over the Strait represents a powerful geopolitical lever. Iran's geographic position allows it significant influence over maritime traffic, a factor that has long been central to its defense and deterrence strategy. Any attempt to restrict or control passage through the waterway could have immediate and far-reaching consequences, not only for regional stability, but for the global economy as a whole. The crisis has drawn attention from major global powers, all of whom rely heavily on uninterrupted energy flows. Calls for restraint are growing louder, with international organizations emphasizing the need to keep shipping lanes open and secure. At the same time, naval presence in the surrounding waters is increasing, adding another layer of tension to an already fragile situation. With the possibility of confrontation looming, the Strait of Hormuz has once again become the focal point of a high-stakes geopolitical struggle, where economic interests, military strategy, and national sovereignty intersect in a rapidly evolving crisis. United States signals massive response as Iran faces escalating pressure. Under 48-hour warning, the United States has intensified its stance against Iran, signaling the possibility of a massive response if Tehran fails to comply with urgent demands issued under a strict 48-hour deadline. The warning marks a sharp escalation in rhetoric, reflecting growing impatience within Washington as tensions continue to rise across the Middle East. Senior officials have indicated that all options remain on the table, including large-scale military action targeting key strategic and economic infrastructure. Military movements in the region have added weight to the warning, with reports of increased naval deployments and aerial readiness aimed at reinforcing deterrence. The situation is being closely monitored by defense analysts, who view the developments as a clear signal that the United States is preparing for rapid escalation if diplomatic efforts collapse. The presence of advanced military assets has heightened the risk of confrontation, particularly in sensitive zones where opposing forces operate in close proximity. Global allies of the United States have expressed concern over the rapidly evolving crisis, urging restraint while simultaneously reviewing their own security postures. Several nations have begun contingency planning to protect their interests in the event of conflict, particularly in areas tied to energy supply and regional stability. The potential for a broader coalition response has also been raised, though no formal announcements have been made. Economic implications are already being felt as markets react to the uncertainty surrounding possible military engagement. Investors are closely watching developments, with fluctuations in energy prices reflecting fears of disruption. The strategic importance of the region has amplified the stakes, turning the crisis into not just a military concern, but a global economic issue. Despite the mounting pressure, diplomatic channels remain active, though increasingly strained. Efforts to de-escalate the situation continue behind closed doors, with international mediators attempting to bridge the widening gap between the two sides. However, the firm tone adopted by the United States suggests that patience is wearing thin, and the window for a peaceful resolution may be narrowing rapidly. Underscore 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 underscore. Iran has firmly rejected demands issued by the United States, responding with defiance and a clear warning of retaliation in the face of any military action. The rejection underscores Tehran's unwillingness to yield under pressure, framing the situation as a matter of national sovereignty and resistance against external coercion. Iranian officials have emphasized that decisions regarding their territory and strategic assets will not be dictated by foreign powers. The response from Iran has significantly raised the stakes, as military and political leaders signal readiness to defend their interests. Statements from senior figures suggest that any attack would trigger immediate countermeasures, potentially extending beyond direct confrontation to include broader regional responses. This posture has intensified fears of a cascading conflict involving multiple actors across the Middle East. Within the region, neighboring countries are watching developments with growing concern, aware that any escalation could have direct consequences for their own security and stability. The interconnected nature of regional alliances and rivalries means that a conflict between Iran and the United States could quickly expand, drawing in additional forces and complicating efforts to contain the situation. At the same time, internal messaging within Iran has focused on unity and resilience, with leadership calling for national solidarity in the face of external threats. Public statements have reinforced a narrative of resistance, aiming to strengthen domestic support, while sending a clear signal internationally that Iran is prepared for confrontation if necessary. Diplomatic avenues remain limited but not entirely closed, as international actors continue to push for dialogue and de-escalation. However, the hardened positions on both sides have made negotiations increasingly difficult, with little indication of compromise in the immediate term. The ongoing standoff reflects a deepening crisis that continues to evolve rapidly, driven by mutual distrust and escalating rhetoric. Oil markets shake worldwide over fears of Strait of Hormuz. Shutdown global oil markets have entered a state of heightened volatility as fears intensify over a potential shutdown of the Strait of Hormuz, a critical artery for the world's energy supply. The narrow passage, which facilitates the transit of nearly a fifth of globally traded oil, has become the focal point of escalating tensions between the United States and Iran. Traders and analysts are reacting swiftly to developments, with crude prices experiencing sharp fluctuations amid uncertainty surrounding the security of maritime routes. Shipping companies have begun reassessing their operations in the region, with some tankers delaying voyages or rerouting to avoid potential conflict zones. Insurance premiums for vessels navigating the Strait have surged dramatically, reflecting increased risk perceptions among global insurers. The disruption in normal shipping patterns is already creating ripple effects across supply chains, raising concerns about potential shortages and delayed deliveries in key markets. Energy importing nations are closely monitoring the situation, particularly those heavily dependent on Gulf supplies. Governments are reportedly reviewing emergency reserves and contingency plans to mitigate the impact of any prolonged disruption. Strategic petroleum reserves may be tapped if necessary, though officials remain cautious about triggering further market instability. Financial markets beyond the energy sector are also showing signs of strain as investors respond to the growing geopolitical risk. Stock indices in major economies have displayed increased volatility, while safe haven assets such as gold have seen a surge in demand. The interconnected nature of global markets means that even the threat of disruption in the Strait of Hormuz carries significant economic consequences far beyond the region itself. Meanwhile, international organizations are calling for restraint, emphasizing the importance of maintaining open and secure shipping lanes. Diplomatic efforts are being intensified to prevent escalation, but the rapidly evolving situation continues to inject uncertainty into global economic outlooks. Underscore 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 signaling a clear escalation in preparedness amid rising tensions. Reports indicate the deployment of additional naval fleets, advanced fighter aircraft, and strategic assets aimed at reinforcing deterrence and ensuring rapid response capabilities in the event of conflict. The movement of forces is being interpreted as a show of strength, underscoring Washington's commitment to enforcing its demands. Defense officials have emphasized that the deployments are precautionary, designed to protect regional interests and maintain stability. However, analysts note that the scale and speed of the buildup suggest readiness for potential offensive operations if the situation deteriorates further. The proximity of these forces to Iranian territory has heightened concerns about accidental encounters or miscalculations that could trigger direct confrontation. Regional bases and allied territories are also being utilized to support the expanded military posture, creating a network of operational readiness across key are reportedly conducting increased patrols, while surveillance and reconnaissance activities have intensified to monitor developments on the ground and at sea. This heightened state of alert reflects the seriousness with which the situation is being treated by military planners. Iran has responded cautiously but firmly to the buildup, warning against any actions that could be perceived as aggressive. Officials have reiterated their readiness to defend national sovereignty, signaling that any military incursion would be met with immediate resistance. The presence of opposing forces in close proximity has created a tense, where even minor incidents carry the risk of escalation. Allied nations are also adjusting their military postures, with some increasing their own presence in the region as a precaution. Joint exercises and coordination efforts are reportedly being reviewed to ensure readiness in case of a broader conflict scenario. The situation continues to evolve rapidly, with military and political leaders closely tracking every development as the risk of confrontation grows. Allies urge restraint as United States-Iran standoff nears breaking point. Global allies are calling for urgent restraint as tensions between the United States and Iran approach a critical threshold. Diplomatic channels have intensified, with European and regional powers pressing both sides to step back from escalating rhetoric and military posturing. Officials warn that even a limited confrontation could spiral into a broader regional conflict, disrupting stability and global energy supplies. Emergency meetings and back-channel talks are underway as concerns mount over miscalculation and rapid escalation. Underscore 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 Airstrike fears rise as Donald Trump signals possible direct action against Iran. Fears of imminent airstrikes are growing after Donald Trump signaled potential direct military action against Iran. The warning has heightened global anxiety, with defense analysts pointing to increased military readiness and strategic positioning by the United States. Surveillance activity and force deployments suggest preparations for rapid engagement if diplomatic efforts fail. Tehran has responded with firm warnings, raising the risk of swift retaliation and wider regional escalation. Shipping chaos escalates as tankers avoid Strait of Hormuz amid conflict threats. Shipping disruptions are intensifying near the Strait of Hormuz as tankers reroute to avoid rising tensions between the United States and Iran. Structural costs surge while delays grow, raising fears of global supply shocks and energy instability. Countdown to crisis, 48-hour deadline could trigger wider Middle East conflict involving Iran and United States. The 48-hour deadline set amid tensions between Iran and the United States is pushing the region toward a dangerous tipping point. Military readiness increases as diplomatic efforts struggle, with risks of escalation threatening broader Middle East stability and global markets. As the situation intensifies, we have witnessed a cascade of developments from escalating warnings and military readiness to global market shocks and diplomatic deadlock. The standoff has not only exposed the fragile balance of power in the Middle East, but also highlighted how deeply interconnected the world has become, where a single flashpoint can ripple across economies, economic, and international relations. With both sides holding firm and allies urging restraint, the margin for error continues to shrink, making every move critical consequential.